Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Good morning and a very warm welcome to everyone. I am Manu Kashyapa from Advaita Academy. Let us begin with a small prayer. Sarvatma sarvadrugyoso sarvadhya sanirasakrit satatam sannidhattam me hridaye paramashivah. I welcome you all to this 2-day weekend with wisdom by Sri Shankara ji on Aitareya Upanishad with Sri Shankara Bhashya. I welcome you, Sri Shankara ji. Thank you for joining us and agreeing to do this weekend with wisdom. I would like to introduce the speaker. Sri Shankar Narayanan ji is a Shishya of Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji and has undergone a 3-year residential Vedanta course with Pujya Swami ji at Arshavidya Gurukulam, Annikatte, Coimbatore, India. He studied there from 1995 to 1998. An alumnus of IIT BHU Varanasi, Shankar ji graduated as an engineer and was working in India and later in US as a software engineer. He met his Guru Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji first at Arshavidya Gurukulam, Salisbury, USA, and later he decided to study Vedanta with Pujya Swami ji. Shankar ji has settled in Kaladi Kurichi in Tirunelveli after the course and has been teaching Vedanta, Samskrita, and Vedas to interested people. Aitareya Upanishad is a primary Upanishad belonging to the Aitareya Brahmana from Shakala Samhita of Rigveda. The Upanishad elaborates on the Pranopasana and Atma Vichara. Adi Shankara has written a detailed commentary on this Upanishad and has given us the knowledge of the self. Adi Shankara, through his commentary on this Upanishad, has re-established the non-dual self, which is the Atman of everything. Viewers, this is a 4-part weekend with wisdom, which includes 2 sessions today and 2 sessions tomorrow. And for the morning and evening session, you have to register separately. Please do register if you have not registered for the evening sessions. And if you have any question, please post them in Q&A box. And we will be taking up towards the end of the session. Shankara ji, please start your session. Shankara ji, you are on mute.
Yeah, you have to enable sharing for me.
Yes, please. I think you can share now, Shankara ji.
Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvighnam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha ओम वांग में मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो में वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेधि वेदस्य माणी स्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् संदधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we are starting the Aitareya Upanishad, which is actually a part of the Aitareya Aranyaka. The Aitareya Aranyaka itself is part of the Aitareya Brahmana of the Rigveda. So this is called Aitareya because the Rishi is the Aitareya Rishi here, who is born of Itara. That is why that Tadita Prayoga is there, Aitareya. His actual name also is, I think, Mahidasaha, because he prayed to the Bhuma Devi and got all this Vidya, all this knowledge. So he also has another name, Mahidasaha. So that is the Rishi. And the Upanishad itself is actually the 4th, 5th, and the 6th chapters in the 2nd Aranyaka of the Aitareya Aranyaka. That is where it is located. And before we go to the meaning of Upanishad, we also chanted this Shanti mantra, which is again specific to Rig Veda. Whenever we study an Upanishad from a particular Veda or a Shakha, in fact, we chant the Shanti mantra belonging to that particular Shakha. For Rig Veda, we normally chant this particular Shanti mantra, which is very meaningful for all students and mumukshus, those who desire for freedom. So let us quickly understand the meaning of this Shanti mantra or prayer with which we have started the session. Here, Vang me manasik pratishtita, like that it starts. Vak is the organ of speech. So literally it means let my organ of speech be based on my mind or established in my mind. Means what? Whatever I speak should be whatever I really mean or whatever I have thought through. I'm not just saying something without really meaning it. Many times, in fact, people do say that, correct? They say something, later on they have to retract and say, no, I did not really mean this and all that. Let it not be like that. Let me always speak whatever I have thought through and let it be based on my mind. Similarly, let my mind also be based on what I am speaking, means mano me vachi pratishtitam. So mind, whatever I say, only what I have thought also. There is no difference between the two, the thought and speech. And action also we have to add, I think. So essentially what the prayer here is that my thought, speech and action, they have to be integrated. There should not be any gap between them, you can say, or dissonance between my thought, speech and action. And this actually, even in Bhagavad Gita, when we talk about the Jnana Sadhanani in the 13th chapter, so Amanitvadi gunas are talked. The qualities which a sadhaka should have, starting with Amanitvam. There, Arjavam, there is a value, is there. This Arjavam, Riju Bhavam means straightforwardness, means what? Whatever you think is what you speak, and whatever you do also is based on that. In fact, in our culture, word is very, very important, correct? Whatever word we have given, the entire Ramayana is based on that. And even in Upanishad, if you see, the Nachiketa story is there, where his father, in anger and irritation, he says that I will give you as Dhanam to Yama. That was said purely in anger. He really did not mean it, but still Nachiketa himself said that no, I will go to Yamadharma because you have said it. Once you have said it, means it has to be done. There were no contracts or anything like that. Understand that. The word is very important for us. So that's why this prayer. That means you have to always say what you really mean and also do accordingly. So that is the prayer. May I have Arjavam. You can say that. Then why do you require all these values as a mumukshu? Why do I have to lead a certain lifestyle? Means I want to understand this self-evident Brahman. That is the next part here. Avir maedhi. Avihi. So Avihi, this word also comes in the Mundaka Upanishad. Avis Sannihitam Guhacharam, like that in the second chapter, I think. So there also the word Avihi means something which is bright. Here, in fact, it means the consciousness itself. The limitless consciousness is called Avihi. And again, there is a repetition. Avir maedhi. So ma here means to me. Aviredhi, we have to add like that. Remove the ma. Ma aviredhi means what? may you become evident. The self-evident consciousness, which is Brahman really, may that become evident to me. Aviredhi means here Avir Bhava. Let it become evident to me. Here this Avir, like that, there is a Dirgha is there. That is Chandasa Prayoga. So may this Brahman be evident to me. How can this Brahman become evident? How do I know this Brahman? What is the means of knowledge for that? Means the Veda alone is the means of knowledge for that. So that means I have to have this Veda as a means of knowledge, and Veda itself is in the form of words. So I require all those words to be there. So how do I get these words? Again here we are praying to the same Vak and Manas as Devata. So Vedasya Ma'ani Isthaha. So Ani means Anaya, and here this is in dual case also. That means to the Vak and Manas only we are saying, may you bring this Veda to me. Why it is said like that? Because Veda Adhyayanam has been a Karna Parampara even today, correct? Vedas were not even printed for a long time. In fact, they were forbidden to print it, in fact. Initially, when they printed, I think there was some controversy. But it got printed maybe 150 years back or something, I think. But before that, it was always a Karna Parampara. Means the teacher will say the Veda mantra, then student has to repeat it twice. Again, the teacher will tell the mantra like that. Through the Vak, whatever is said, only you receive it in your mind, and that's how you get the Veda, correct? So Vak and mind are the most important things for you to get the Veda, the Shabda Rashi of the Veda, the group of words which form the Vedas, and then you have to understand the meaning. Then only this Brahman will become evident to you. So may this Vak and Manas bring the Veda to me. Okay, you have got the Veda, but then it should not leave you, correct? You have to retain it. That is what we call Medha Shakti. Knowing alone is not enough. You should be able to retain it. You should be able to visualize it in your mind and understand the implications. Then only it becomes wisdom and knowledge. So the next prayer is what? Shrutam mema prahasihi. So whatever I have heard, may that not leave me. Means may it be with me always. May it become part of my memory so that I can recollect it anytime. So all these Veda Panditas are all amazing people. So they have everything in their kantha, we say. Kantastaha means what? As though everything is there in their throat. They have enormous memory. More than 100,000 verses and all that they easily remember. They never refer to any books. You go to any of these sadhas even today, they quote everything from memory. That's how they are. It's amazing. So may I have this Medha Shakti so that whatever I have heard stays with me. And then, so how can you get this Medha Shakti or retention again? For that you have to make effort. Without effort, nothing comes. So if you have to memorize something, you have to repeatedly do adhyanam of that. So that is the next part here. Anena adhitena ahoratran sandadhami. Means by whatever I have done, learned, correct? With that, may I join the day and night. Means what? My adhyayana should continue all the time. All the time is really not possible. You have to sleep, you have to take care of your body, etc. But still, may my adhyayanam be regular. See, the main problem with Shastra Adhyayana is what? Many people join, but there is no commitment. You don't continue with the studies. To understand anything, just attending a few classes is not enough. You have to continue the studies for a length of time. Then only you can understand all the nuances. And then assimilation also is very important. Understanding and assimilating this knowledge. Then only any insight you gain can transform you. Otherwise, you can get a lot of insights even by attending one class or reading one paper back and all that. But that insight is not going to transform you. For an insight to transform you, you have to be with that insight for a length of time. In fact, you have to be with that day and night. Even in your dreams, it should come, I think. That's what they mean here. Then it really becomes transformative for you. Then what? Then the prayer is Ritam Vadishyami, Satyam Vadishyami. So now this Ritam Vadishyami, Satyam Vadishyami, normally how we translate it is, because Ritam, Satyam are almost synonyms really. But here we have to give a different meaning. So we say that Ritam is relative truth, Satyam is the absolute truth. Like that we can take. Means relative truth means what? See, I am a mumukshu. I have learned the Shastra. Now Shastra says that you are Brahman, limitless. You are everywhere. You are the Atma of all the beings. Okay, that is all fine. You go somewhere. Somebody asks you, where are you from? You should not say that to that person. If you start saying, no, no, I am Brahman. I don't go anywhere. I don't come anywhere. I am all over the place and all that. Doesn't make sense really, correct? It's only spiritual snobbery, I think. Wherever it is, according to the context, you have to speak the truth. So if you go somewhere, somebody asks, where are you from? Means you can say, I am from this village and all that. Nothing wrong with that. It's not going, once you understand certain truths, the absolute truth is not going to be negated by what you say in the Vyavahara. But if you are teaching a class, or if your guru is asking, who are you? Then you can tell the absolute truth. There is no problem. So essentially, Ritam Vadishyami, Satyam Vadishyami means what? May I say the truth according to the context properly, whether it is relative or absolute. We have to be proper in Vyavahara. In transactional world, you be transactional. There is nothing wrong in that. Then the prayer is for protection of both the student and the teacher. Tanmamavatu. So let that Bhagavan protect me. Mam avatu. Tad bhaktaram avatu. Bhaktaram is the one who is teaching, one who is talking to you. So before any class, this prayer is very relevant, correct? So it is for both the student and the teacher. So again it is repeated. Avatu mam, avatu bhaktaram. In fact, this avatu bhaktaram in some readings is again repeated also. Avatu mam, avatu bhaktaram, avatu bhaktaram. Like that also there is a reading. But essentially it is for a prayer for protecting both the guru and the shishya, because without guru you do not have access to the shastra. Particularly this atma jnanam, even there is a mandate that do not do atma vichara by yourself. Okay, you have to go to a guru always, and you learn the shastra from the guru always, because the guru only has the sampradaya, the teaching methodology. So unless it is taught properly through a proper methodology, this can become very confusing, the self-knowledge, because it is very subtle. It is simple in one way. In fact, it is easy. There is even a shloka that in Shlokardhena, in half a shloka, I can tell whatever has been said in Grantha Koti Bihi and all. What is that? What is the teaching essentially? It is very simple, correct? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. That's all is the teaching. The teaching is actually simple, but still it is subtle. To understand that requires a certain reorientation. So you have to go to a guru and learn from a guru who himself has a guru. Don't go to a guru who does not have a guru. That means he doesn't have any parampara and he will not know how to teach also. There are many people who have certain insights you can do namaskara to them, you can take inspiration from them, but it is very difficult to learn from them. For example, we had Ramanujam, a great mathematician, but he was not formally trained in mathematics. So I don't know whether any students were really there for him, correct? But he was a great mathematician. Even today, people are doing research on whatever theorems he wrote, because he simply wrote it down, many of them in his books, without even any proof and all that. He even said that his Ishta Devata came in his dreams and gave all those things to him. So then, how do you go and learn from him? So to learn mathematics, you have to anyway go to a proper college, enroll yourself and go and learn from a professor who himself has undergone some training, correct? Some learning with whatever tools are available, methodology of teaching. So that person will know how to teach you. So that is why Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. The guru has to be Shrotriya, means one who has studied the Shastra himself from another guru. And because of that study, he has also attained whatever is to be attained, the Brahmanishta, who has a clarity of knowledge, and that knowledge itself should have blessed that person and transformed that person. To such a person, you go. So one who is committed to the knowledge and one who knows how to teach it also. So that is the guru. So may that guru be protected. May I be protected. Then Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So Trividha Shanti means Trividha Tapa is there. Correct? Tapatraya we say. Means three types of afflictions can be there. Adhyatmika means with reference to oneself. So when you are studying, you should be able to focus on what the guru is saying, correct? But what happens, your mind is running away here and there, or you are not able to sit in one place, your back is paining. All sorts of afflictions can be there with reference to your own body, mind, sense complex. May all those things not be there. Okay, may all these afflictions be resolved so that I can focus and study properly. Similarly, Adi Bhautika means all your surroundings, the Panchabhutas, which is made up of the Panchabhutas. Surroundings also have to be conducive. There should not be any earthquake, tsunami, all that, correct? Cyclone. May the surroundings also be Shanta. Then Daiva also, Adi Daivika, with reference to the Devas, because Devas are the ones, again, without their blessings, you cannot do anything. They can actually give you problems. They can also bless you. So even whatever natural calamities and all, we say it is all Jaivadhina, correct? So again, the Devatas also have to protect us, and they should not give any affliction. So like this, let there be Shanti. So this is the prayer which we have started. Then we are studying Aitareya Upanishad. So the Upanishad word means what? Okay, Upanishad means Brahma Vidya. That is the meaning. Okay. In fact, in this Upanishad Bhashya, Bhashyakara actually doesn't give the meaning of Upanishad, but he gives it in Kathopanishad Bhashya, in the beginning only, and even in Brihadaranyaka and other Upanishads, he gives the meaning. So what is the meaning? How did this word Upanishad come about? If you look at it, he says, Sadher Dhatoho Visharana Gati Avasadanarthasya Upanipurvasya Quip Pratyayantasya Rupam Idam. So quip is the suffix. Okay. This quip suffix is added to the sad dhatu. Sadl is the dhatu. Lukara is the it letter we say in Paniniya dhatu pata. Indicatory letters are there. Based on that, rules will apply. So the Paninian system itself is very, very interesting. It's a great achievement, I think, what Panini has done. To understand that and appreciate it itself is a pleasure. So the Sadl is preceded by Upani also. Upa and Ni are the prefix. Pip is the Pratyaya. So Upanishad it becomes then. So this Sadl Dhatu can have three meanings. Visharana, Gati and Avasadana. So Visharana means you can say that something is getting decayed or destroyed like that. Disintegration. Okay. Gati means to get. Gati, even in English, Gati can mean movement, or getting means knowledge also, correct? Did you get it? If I ask means, did you understand it? So knowing, Gati can also mean moving or knowing. Knowing is the meaning here. Then Avasadana means complete destruction. Along with the cause, if you destroy something, Samulam means that is Avasadana. So like this, in three meanings, this dhatu can come, sadla. All these three meanings are relevant here if you say that Upanishad is Brahma Vidya, because Brahma Vidya, Visharati, what does it disintegrate or Shitili Karoti, we say. What does it disintegrate means? It disintegrates this samsara, all the dukkha, everything is gone. Then Brahma Gamayati. So how does it do that? Means by teaching you Brahman, by making you know Brahman. And so when you know Brahman, what happens? Avidya, which is the Mula, and all its karya, avidya, kama, karma, everything is destroyed. So Upani means Upa, again, these two prefixes also have meaning. Upa means near really. But what is the nearest to you? If you take, that is yourself in fact. So actually this is a Mahavakya. Upanishad itself can mean a Mahavakya because it is Brahma Vidya. But Brahma Vidya is not knowing Brahman as some other object away from you. Brahman is yourself, not separate from yourself. So that's why this is the knowledge of the nearest to you. And Ni means Nischayena. That means you have ascertained it with clarity. There are no doubts. There are no hindrances for that knowledge. So such a knowledge is called Upanishad. Then you can ask, why do we call the book as Upanishad? Book is a Gauna Prayoga only, figuratively, because the book itself gives that knowledge. Book also is called Upanishad. So that is the meaning of the word Upanishad. Now, actually Adi Shankara has written a big introductory Bhashya. Normally the introductory Bhashya to any Upanishad is called Sambandha Bhashya, because their Bhashyakara, commentator, Bhashyakara means the one who has written the commentary, the Bhashya. In this case Shankara. So whenever I use the word Bhashyakara, understand it as Adi Shankara. So Bhashyakara introduces and then gives the link or connection between the previous portions which have been covered and whatever is going to come now in the Upanishad. That is why it is called the Sambandha Bhashya. In fact, I'm not going to cover the entire Sambandha Bhashya because it is too big. We don't have that much time, I think. But I still want to give you a flavor of the arguments. So we'll see certain things. So while introducing, Bhashyakara starts like this. He says that till now this Aparam Brahma Upasana, because this is Taittiriya Aranyaka. Aranyaka, see the Taittiriya Brahmana, the Brahmana portion tells you how to do karma, how to do the different yajnas, okay, different karma. Then Aranyaka is mainly focused on Upasana. Now this Upanishad itself is part of the Taittiriya Aranyaka, I said. It is the third, fourth, fourth, fifth and sixth chapter, I think I said. That means what is there in the previous chapters means that what Bhashyakara is saying. He is saying the previous chapters actually talk about prana upasana. It is called Ukta Vijnana. Ukta is the word used. Ukta means actually prana only. So prana is presented as the totality of all the devatas, and one is supposed to do the prana upasana along with karma. So karma combined with this prana upasana, then you can achieve vilinam into the prana itself, it is said. That means you become one with the prana devata. You become the totality itself by doing this upasana. That is the phala. So the previous chapter ended with that revelation. Now what Bhashyakara says is, he says, so that resolving into that prana and becoming that prana devata means one has become everything within this transactional world. But that itself is considered as the highest attainment, highest purushartha, highest thing which can be decided by somebody and attained. And that itself is moksha, like that some people say. Those who are karmatas, those who are committed to only karma, they have an opinion like this. Okay. So they say that you have to always do karma, and along with that you do this upasana also, and then you become one with the devata. Okay. And that is your highest attainment. That means till you become one with that devata, you have to keep on doing this jnana karma samuchaya, it is called. This combination of both karma means nitya karma, naimitika karma is there, that you can never stop. So every day, yavat jivam agnihotram juhuyat and all, there are statements are there. Till the time you live, you have to do agnihotra, you have to do darshapurna masa, like that. So, and sandhya vandanam, etc. Every day karma is there. One has to do that. And along with that, you do upasana. And then you attain. That is the highest. So Bhashyakara, what does he say? He says that the Upanishad starts with a desire to negate this view. Okay, this is not proper. Okay, because self-knowledge alone, he uses the word kevala atma jnana. Self-knowledge alone is the means for moksha. Karma is not a direct means for moksha. Understand that. Neither upasana. Upasana also is manasa karma. Whether it is physical karma in the form of yajna, dana, tapas and all that, or manasa karma. There also tapas can be there, vak tapas, and even doing all this upasana and all can be considered as tapas. So all this is only karma. Wherever Purusha Tantra we say, once volition is involved, your will is involved, that is all karma. In knowledge, your will is not involved. Understand that. Knowledge is always Vastu Tantra we say. If I show you an apple, let us say, I don't have an apple here, you cannot will it as orange. It doesn't make any sense, correct? Your will is not involved. Knowledge is Vastu Tantra. You have to know something as it is. So if I say this is a mouse, you have to know it as a mouse. Mouse in the context of computer, okay, not the mouse which runs the mouse animal. You cannot know it as something else. In knowledge, your will has no role to play. Only you have to use a means of knowledge and know something as it is. And here, all your problems are because you do not know yourself as you are in reality. So knowing that alone is good enough. You don't have to do anything else. That is the Siddhanta which Bhashyakara is trying to establish here. So we'll see now what kind of arguments are there. So whatever is in red here is all Purvapakshi or the opponent's view. So this person now asks, okay, you say that this is Upanishad is starting some other topic about self-knowledge and it is not related to whatever was talked before like karma and upasana. How do we know that this chapter reveals self-knowledge unconnected to karma? That is the first question. So Bhashyakara gives the answer. Anyartha anavagama, he says. Because we cannot give any other meaning to whatever is revealed in this Upanishad. The Upanishad itself is very clear what it is trying to reveal. So if you look at it properly, you cannot give any other meaning. In fact, he gives some examples there. He says, see, you say that becoming one with the Devata is the ultimate goal one has to reach. That is moksha. But in this Upanishad, what it is saying, it will say later on that all the Devatas, including the Virat Purusha, Prajapati, they all had hunger and thirst. We'll see that later. In fact, tam ashanaya pipasabhyam anvavarjat. So they all became connected, or they all became subjected to hunger and thirst. And hunger and thirst can only be there for a samsari, correct? For a person who thinks he is wanting. Hunger and thirst really means what? You are limited, you are wanting. And by satisfying your hunger and thirst, again you think that you have fulfilled your purnaha, but for some time alone. Again it starts. So hunger and thirst means don't think only physical for food alone and water. Our whole life is really hunger and thirst only. Our eyes are hungry for seeing something beautiful. Our ears are hungry and thirsty to hear something nice. Whatever is nice for you may not be nice for another, but there are individual preferences in all these things, but still, it's all hunger only. And even emotionally, we require support, we require companionship. You feel lonely, that is also a hunger and thirst. So, all your problems are all because you think you are wanting in some way or the other. And you think by attaining something, this want will go away, but it never happens like that. The wants are endless because your vision of yourself is always that you are a wanting limited being. Unless that vision goes away, you are never going to become fully satisfied with yourself. That is why this samsara is unending. It's a vicious cycle, never ending process, never ending life of becoming, we say, because you want to become something else, because in your current vision you are lacking something. So you want to become somebody where you think that you will not lack it. But even after becoming that somebody, you still lack some other things. So you again want to become. So it is a never-ending life of becoming. Samyak sarati iti samsaraha. That's what you say. You are traveling very well from one thing to another to another to another. Then this life is over. Another life. Punarjanma also you have to include. So even devatas are like that, samsaris. So what is it that you are saying that you want to become one with the devata? Okay, now the Purva Pakshi changes track. The Purva Pakshi is mainly a karma khandi. They say that always karma has to be done. In fact, even the Veda itself is only for revealing karma. Amna yasya kriyarthatvat anarthakyam atadarthanam, like that there is a statement is there. So anything which is not related to karma, which the Veda reveals, is really anartha, or it has to be connected to a karma somehow. That is their understanding. So the opponent now says, even if we agree that self-knowledge is the means for moksha, it does not follow that a non-performer of karma is qualified for that self-knowledge. So now he says, okay, I agree, we have to attain self-knowledge. But even for attaining this self-knowledge, only a karmi is qualified because karma has been mandated by the Veda itself. Okay, that is their understanding. And he even says, even in this Aranyaka, this karma and upasana is talked about. There is a Brihati Sahasra like that in the previous chapters, even in the Brahmana and the Aranyaka. this Brihati Sahasra karma is being talked about. That has been revealed and it is under discussion, let us say. So the knowledge of self itself has begun now, this chapter, after discussing this Brihati Sahasra karma. That means the one who is doing that karma alone is qualified for this self knowledge. That means you cannot leave karma, you have to keep doing karma. That is the point. And he gives, this Purva Pakshi gives a lot of reasons for that. Actually, some of them and all, I have made it a little bit brief. So he says, it is said in the previous Brahmana that the self of Surya is the self of all. So this is there in the Rik Samhita itself. Surya Atma Jagatas Kastu Shascha. Like that, there is actually a mantra which is very popular also. We use it even as a prayer. The Surya Atma is the self of all. The, whoever is the self in the Surya, Surya Devata, is the self of all. Like this self has been already revealed. And even in this Upanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, Yesha Brahma, Yesha Indraha, like that it comes. This self alone is Brahma and Brahman, and this self alone is Indra. And in that same Upanishad Vakya, Aitareya 3:1-3, Yacha Sthavaram Sarvam Tat Prajnanetram, like that it is revealed. The self alone is the self in even all these plants and all that. Correct? Sthavaram means that which does not move anywhere, which is established in one place. Jangama, we say. All the animals are called Jangama because they move around. Plants stay in one place. They stay put. So for all of them, who is the conscious principle in all the living beings, who is aware of everything, is that this same self alone. Like this, it is revealed here, and he is again quoting another Samhita Upanishad. In the Upanishad, means Upanishad Vakya can be used even in Samhita portion of the Rig Veda also, the same similar quotations and all they are giving. So what they are saying is this self-knowledge has been revealed in the Samhita, in the Brahmana, in the Aranyaka, in this Upanishad also. That means it has been revealed in different portions of the Veda. And even in the portion which is talking about karma, this has been revealed. Therefore, you cannot say that this self-knowledge is disconnected from karma. Karma you have to keep doing. Self-knowledge also you pursue. That is the argument here. You can never stop doing karma. That is mandated. That is what Bhashyakara is trying to negate. So this Purva opponent further says, what further the self has already been ascertained by the previous Brahmana. So many times this Purva Mimamsakas, they say that Upanishad itself should not start. Why are you even analyzing it? It is all simply some arthavada, some figurative speech, some story. You simply associate it with an existing karma. So he says that all this is already known. What is there to be newly ascertained by these Upanishad chapters? So it is all useless, whatever you are saying. It's all repetition. We already know it. Already it is said in the Samhita, already in the Brahmanas also it has been talked about. So once this opinion or this view is presented, another person comes. This person also is not the Siddhanti, but he is another view. He says, no, there is no repetition in this Upanishad. Upanishad is talking something extra, something special. What is that? The Upanishad is revealing this Atma as the one which has special qualities, like being the cause of the creation, sustenance, and the resolution of this entire world. So the Atma is revealed as the creator and sustainer, and one into which the entire world resolves back. Jagat, Srishti, okay, Sthiti, Samhara, Karana is the Atma. So like this, Atma has been revealed in this Upanishad. Therefore, it is not repetition. Something new is being taught. Okay. Further, he says, okay, this person is another view. He says that normally, even when previously this upasana, Atma Upasana was talked about, and one has to look upon Atma as the Atma in everything and all that. That is all part of a particular karma. Even when you do Sandhya Vandanam, we do that. Correct? Asau Aditya, Brahma, Brahmaiva Ahamasmi and all, we do some dhyanam. That is only part of the karma. After the karma is over, you are not going to do that, correct? Because that upasana is a karma anga. But in the Upanishad, this Atma Upasana is talked about as a separate activity. It is revealed. You have to, it's not part of any karma as a subsidiary or a part. This is the main thing you do, Atma Upasana. And also he gives another reason. Veda Abheda Upasyatvacha means what? The same self, when you are doing Upasana as part of the karma, that is meditated as something different from oneself. This Paramatma is different from me, because this Paramatma is there in the Devata. It is the Paramatma in the Aditya Devata. I am now doing Upasana about, with some special qualities. So when you do the Upasana as part of the karma, there is Bheda Buddhi is there. But now whatever the Upanishad is going to teach you, there you have to do Upasana. This is also Upasana only, understand that. Upasana means the object of meditation is still separate from you, but you do Upasana. You visualize that as though you are one and the same, and that has a certain result. Okay, like you take, we call it Sampat Upasana and all that, correct? If you have Shalagrama, Shalagrame Vishnum Dhyayet. In the Shalagrama, you meditate upon Vishnu. Why? Because there is some similarity. Shalagrama also, if you break it open, there will be something like a chakra. Okay, some connection you establish like that, and based on that you visualize one as the other. Like that, you do Upasana on yourself. Ahangraha Upasana also it is called. If you do Upasana on yourself, visualizing that you are a particular Devata, then here it is Abheda Upasana. So both Bheda and Abheda is talked about. So outside the context of the karma, you do Abheda Upasana, and therefore there is no defect of repetition. Punarukti, like that you cannot say. So this is another person gives his own view, Bheda and all that. And further, he gives statements for substantiating his view. He says, why this karma and, again this person also is a jnana karma samuchayavadi. He says both jnana and karma has to be done. But at least he accepts that Upanishad can be started as a separate chapter. And for that, what is he giving? His own justification. He says, Vidyancha avidyancha yastad Veda Ubhayam Saha Avidyaya Mrityum Tirtva Vidyaya Amritam Ashnute. This is from Ishavasya Upanishad. So here this person says Vidya is Upasana. Avidya means here not ignorance, just not Vidya, which is karma. So karma and Upasana together one has to do. Vidyancha avidyancha yastad Veda Ubhayam Saha. So knowing both Upasana and karma. And then what we do? Avidyaya mrityum tirtva. With avidya, one crosses over mrityu with karma, and with upasana, one attains the immortality, amritam ashnute. Like this, Ishavasya itself is saying both karma and upasana has to be done together to attain immortality. And same Ishavasyam says, Kurvan neve karma ani jiji vishet chatagum sama aha, like that. So you have to do karma. You have to desire to live for 100 years. Jiji vishet. Okay. Why? So that you can live those 100 years by doing karma. And there are statements, Yavat Jivam Agnihotram Juhoti, until the time you live, keep doing Agnihotra. Yavat Jivam Darshapurna Masabhyam Yajeta, till the time you live, you have to do Dasha Purnamasa, which is like a fortnightly ritual, Naimitika. And Tam Yajna Patrair Dahanti, also even your Antima Karma, you have to do with your own, whatever fire was there in your house, correct, in your Yajna Patra. Like this, there are so many Vakyas are there. And also the Upanishad, even in Brihadaranyaka and other places, Rinatraya is talked about by the Shruti. 3 debts towards the Rishis, Pitru and Devata. In fact, every day we are supposed to do Pancha Maha Yajna, also only to repay this debt. Because this very physical body you will not have without your ancestors, correct? That way everybody is in debt only. Your mother's body, whatever your mother ate, and that's how this body has come. And it's all indebted to your Pitrus. A, B, C, D onwards, somebody has taught you. So you are all totally indebted to all your teachers, Rishis. And without the Devata nourishing you, blessing you, you cannot see anything. You cannot even digest the food you eat. Understand that. Many people think that they are so great. But you give them something, they cannot even digest it. They don't even have that strength. Bhagavan is sitting inside. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Prana Pana Samayuktaha Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. Even to digest all types of food, Bhagavan is sitting as the power to digest in you. If you open your eyes have to see. But seeing itself, how do you have? Because the Devata, Aditya Devata is giving you that power to see. That is our understanding. So all these 3 people, you have to repay your debt always. So you cannot never stop doing karma. That is the idea. So all of the above only point out that one has to do karma along with Atma Upasana. Okay, then this person also answers another potential objection. Then what about all the statements in the Veda about sannyasa? The Brihadaranyaka says, Yuddhaya Atha Bhikshacharyam Charanti, giving up Putraishana, Vittaishana, Lokaishana, desire for Putra, wealth, and even going to some Swarga and all that, all the different types of experiences. Giving up all that, you take Bhikshacharya and go with a commitment for this self-knowledge. This person says, no, all these things are only Arthavada. Arthavada means some praise. So he says it is for Atma Jnana Stuti. So it is just to praise the Atma Jnanam. These things are said, or sannyasa is only for those who are not qualified to do karma, he says. In fact, for every karma, there are some qualifications are there. In fact, for some karma, Krishna Keshaha, like that, there is a qualification. So I cannot do. You have to have black hair. That means you are young enough to do that. Old people cannot do. Krishna Kesha. And like blind people, handicapped people and all, they do not have this qualification to do karma. They can take to sannyasa. All these people. Okay, that is the understanding of another person. Now both these things are wrong. Okay, Bhashyakara says the Siddhanta is what? Paramartha Vijnane, Paramartha Atma Vijnane, Kala Adarshane, Kriyanupapatte. So when you have this knowledge of self as not lacking anything, self is Purna Atma, correct? In reality, you are not a wanting person, you are not a limited being. That is the teaching. You are the limitless already. You do not lack anything. You are complete. You are full. Therefore, the person who has such a vision about oneself, what desire does he have to achieve anything else? He does not see any need for any results of action. He does not want any results of action because all results of action are anyway limited. Karma itself is finite, and all results of action also will be finite. You cannot achieve the infinite by adding finite things, correct? Infinite can never be created. It can never be attained by going from one place to another, nor it can be gained by cleaning up something or purifying something and all that, or modifying something. None of the things which karma can accomplish can give you this infinite. And I am already that infinite. That is the only way I can attain the infinity. Unless I am already that. In fact, anything which is limitless has to include me, correct? It cannot exclude me. So I have to be that already, but I do not know. So you have to know that. Once you know that, what is the use for any karma phala for you? So phala adarshane, he does not see any need for any result of action. Therefore, for that person, there cannot be any karma. That is the argument of Bhashyakara. So he explains, in fact, he says self-knowledge is what? I am Brahman, which is limitless and which is free from all defects of a life of becoming. Like it is not having any samsara dosha. Okay? Because samsara means what? Life of becoming means there is kama, desire is there. Desire itself is born out of a feeling of want, lack. Then desire leads to action. Action leads to results of action. But sometimes it is not as you expected it. Therefore, if it goes against your expectation, anger, pain, hurt, guilt also sometimes because you do something wrong to gain your desires. To fulfill your desire, you are ready to do adharma, to do wrong things. Then it will produce guilt. And whatever you desire, somebody else is having. Then jealousy. Or whatever you desire, you gained it, then you are proud. All these things are there. Mada Matsarya, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada Matsarya, all these things are there. These are all problems, samsara. But none of these things are there for a jnani. Because jnani is krita krityaha, we say. One who has already accomplished everything that is to be accomplished. One who has fulfilled all desires. So, Shnude Sarvan Kamaan Saha, like that Aitareya Upanishad says. The Brahmajnani, Yugapad Saha there means immediately on knowledge of oneself. It is like you have attained everything that you have to attain. All your desires are fulfilled because you do not look upon yourself anymore as a wanting person. That is the idea here. So there cannot be anything to be done or any desire for any results of action for a jnani. It doesn't make any sense. Therefore, what? So there is no need of any results of action already done. Even something, whatever you already did also, you are not expecting any result from it. Or you are not expecting to become happy by gaining some results of action, which you have already done. Because some results of action do not come immediately, correct? Even going to Swarga and all, we say that you do karma now. Then it is there in the form of apurva. Even the Purva Mimamsaka says the papa or punya in this case is accumulated, but it does not immediately fructify because only after you die you can go to Swarga. So that punya can help you only after you die, after you give up this body at least. But for a jnani, even whatever punya that jnani has gained, he is not interested in that. Nor he is planning to do some new karma to gain some more punya and all that. Is that clear? So jnani is neither interested in any results of action which is already done, the action is already done, or he is not interested in doing any new action to gain any new punya results and all that. Okay, but the Purva Pakshi is not ready to give up. So he says now, okay, even if one is not interested in results, one has to act. Why? Because the Veda has mandated you to do that. Shastra is mandating you. Shastra has the power. They even say that it has a Shakti to actually impel you to do. Like this and all, Purva Mimamsakas argue. Bhashyakara says, Shastram is only Nyapakam. He says, Shastra only reveals. You only have to use your own will and do. Whether you want to do it or not, it depends on whether you really think that whatever Shastra is mandating is going to give you what you desire. See, everybody naturally has this tendency to gain Ishta. Whatever is Ishta, whatever is desirable, you want to gain that. Anishta Parihara you want to do. So, Ishta Prapti, Anishta Parihara, this is the basis for all pravritti, all activities, and that is innate in you. That is not come due to Shastra or anything. Okay, this argument also is there actually. Bhashyakara says that. So, Shastra reveals based on your Ishta, Anishta, and all that, you only have to then do whatever the Shastra is revealing. So, Bhashyakara here says, even for normal person it is like that. Then what about Jnani? Jnani does not see himself as subjected to any mandates or injunctions or rules or anything. Jnani's vision about himself or herself is totally different. So what you are saying, whether the Shastra is mandating and all those mandates do not apply to the Jnani. So only those who are interested to avoid undesirable things and gain desirable things and are seeking for a means for that. Those means only Shastra is revealing. Sadhya and sadhana. So if that sadhana aligns with whatever you want, then you will do that. And you can say that, okay, now Shastra is mandating me and I am also desiring to achieve that, so I will do that. Otherwise, one cannot be really even thinking of all these things. Okay. So one who knows oneself as Brahman cannot be subjected to any mandates. Another reason also Bhashyakara gives is what, because I look upon myself as Brahman, and Brahman is the source of all Shastra itself. Shastra Yonitvat, like that, there is a Brahma Sutra is there. Yasya Nishwasitam Brahma, like that, Vakyas are all there. So, these Shastras themselves are created by this Brahman, this Ishvara, and Ishvara being the source of everything, and I am now identifying myself with Ishvara, then how can you say that I myself, I am bound by all these mandates of which I am the source? It doesn't make any sense, correct? That is another argument which Bhashyakara is making. Now the Purva Pakshi says, no, the Veda is eternal, it is Nitya. Okay, they have one argument. The Purva Mimamsaka say that Veda is not created. Ishvara did not create the Veda. Shabda itself is, for them, it is Nitya. And so, it is independent and it can mandate everyone. Like that, they are giving an argument. Okay. So, Bhashyakara says, no. If you say that, then every mandate which is given by the Veda has to be done by everyone all the time. In fact, that is not even practically possible. It is not desirable. And in fact, we do not, already we have also pointed out that Veda is created. There are Vedic statements for that. Brahma Sutra also is there. So Veda is Nitya, means we are accorded the status of Pravaha Nityatvam, not absolutely eternal. Pravaha Nityatvam means it is like saying the river is flowing, but still we call it a river, correct? The river is always there, I say. The river is there, but the same water is not there, correct? The water is flowing, but as river it is there. Like that, Veda is there because Ishvara in every cycle of creation, we say that again remembers the same Veda, and using that Veda again he manifests the Veda also, and along with that he manifests the entire creation. Like that, we have this concept of a Pravaha Nityatvam, but still Ishvara is the source of all knowledge. Ishvara is all knowledge, and therefore the one who has all knowledge is greater than that knowledge. Okay. So your argument is not correct. Then he says, he now changes tack. Okay. Now he says, as karma is mandated by the Veda, so to self-knowledge also is only a vidhi. Atma vare drashtavyaha, shrotavyaha, mantavyaha, like that and all. This verb forms are all used by the Veda. Ling, lot, tavya, wherever it is there, it is all a mandate for the Purva Mimamsaka. And so the mandate is for only a karmi. So you have to do both karma and you also have to pursue self-knowledge. So you cannot leave karma. Again, he is holding on to that. Now, Bhashyakara gives another interesting argument. He says Vedas cannot give contradictory mandates or injunctions. Okay, viruddhartha bodhakatva anupapatte. So it is not tenable. Why your argument? Because Veda cannot give contradictory mandates. It cannot say fire is both hot and cold. Doesn't make any sense. Okay. Similarly, what Bhashyakara says, the same person cannot be associated with and dissociated from action also, because as a karmi, you are associated with karma. But when self-knowledge is revealed, you are revealed as akarta, abhokta. You are not associated, you are asangaha. You are not associated with anything, in fact. Then again, having revealed that, again it cannot ask you to do karma and get yourself associated with karma. Correct? It doesn't make any sense. It is contradictory. So Bhashyakara says what? This desire to avoid undesirable things and attain desirable things is innate in everybody, and that is not mandated by the Shastra. And based on that desire only, any injunction also will apply to you. And even whatever the Veda is revealing, it should be anadhigatam abaditam. Correct? It should not be known to you already. If you already know it through some other means, then Veda is not required to reveal that to you. So yadhi swataha apraptam, whatever is not available to you or evident to you otherwise, that alone the Shastra has to reveal to you. Tat shastrena bodhitavyam or bodhayitavyam. So the Shastra has already revealed the self as free from what has been done or what is to be done and all that. When we talk about self-knowledge, the self is revealed as akarta, I already told you, or krita krityaha, it is purnaha, it is already complete. Having revealed like that, now this person has no more desire to achieve anything or anything in terms of karma phala. So whatever the Veda may say is not relevant to him, correct? Already we said that the relevancy of a Vedic mandate depends on your innate pursuit of gaining what you desire and avoiding what you do not desire. So in this case, this person does not even have that pravritti, correct? To avoid undesirable, or he doesn't look upon anything as desirable or undesirable anymore, because none of these things really matter. Karma phala itself is not important. Therefore, it cannot ask this person to do karma. It is like saying that there is coldness in fire or darkness on sun and all that. It is contradictory. It doesn't make any sense. So your argument is wrong. Finally, this person says, no, the Veda does not reveal any knowledge of self like what you are saying. Okay. Now Bhashyakara says, no, it does reveal. So many Upanishads are there, Mahavakyas are there. So, Sama Atmeti Vidyat Kaushitaki Upanishad. So that Brahman may I know it as my own Atma. Prajnanam Brahma in Aitareya Upanishad itself is there. This Brahman is nothing but consciousness. It is only consciousness, in fact. And there is no other conscious being I can know, correct? I am the only conscious being who is self-evident and self-existent. Therefore, that Brahman is not separate from me. And Brihadaranyaka also, Tad Atmanameva Avet Aham Brahmasmiti, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Chandogya. So So many Upanishad Vakyas are revealing this. You cannot say that this self-knowledge is not revealed at all by the Veda. So once the knowledge of Brahman as Atma has occurred, it cannot be negated. Because these people will say, no, no, that is all only some phrase. It is all Arthavada, or it is all erroneous cognition. That's not true. You cannot deny it, or you cannot say it is erroneous cognition. In fact, this knowledge is born by negating all names, forms, action, functions, everything. So, Nirakrita Sarva Nama Rupa Karma Paramartha Atma Vastu Vishayam Atma Jnanam Amritatva Sadhanam. Like that, Bhashyakara, finally he gives this summary. I have put it here. Because after this, there is a big argument about sannyasa also, which I have not given here. Because the Purvapakshi still maintains that karma has to be done, and he does not accept even the sannyasa ashrama itself. So Bhashyakara has to argue a lot, and he establishes that only in the sannyasa ashrama you have a lifestyle which is conducive to this Atma Jnanam. He says this brahmacharya or grihastha or even vanaprastha, these ashramas are not really conducive, because even there still you have to lead a life based on your karma, your desires you have to fulfill. You look upon yourself only as a karta. As long as you have desires, you have to look upon yourself as karta. You are limited. You have to identify with this body mind sense complex. So all that is not conducive for this Atma Jnanam. So those who desire for Atma Jnanam and those who have already had this Jnanam also, all of them will only tend towards a sannyasa lifestyle. That is like a rule he is talking. Bhashyakara talks that he, to establish the sannyasa ashrama, there is a huge discussion further. I have basically, I'm not covering that completely. So the self-knowledge which has its subject matter, the ultimate reality of oneself, and which negates all names, forms and action, that alone is the means for amritatvam, or immortality, or moksha, freedom from all limitations. So that is the Siddhanta. So finally, what is the summary in the Sambandha? How do we connect the Upanishad with karma, upasana, all those things which have been revealed in the Brahmana portion, Aranyaka portion means? Bhashyakara gives some final argument. He says all actions mandated by Shastra is only for the ignorant or those who look upon themselves as a karta. If you think you are a karta bhokta, you are a doer and an enjoyer, that you have desires which you want to fulfill, then only all these mandates are relevant to you. But self-knowledge, by its very nature, is what? It negates that very doership and enjoyership itself, because you are no more the limited individual. You are the limitless conscious being in whose presence all these things are happening. You are not connected to any karma. You are not lacking anything. You are purnaha, sampurnaha. You are complete, full. You are the limitless that cannot be bettered. You are the source of all happiness. So why do you have to do anything then? So for such a person, renunciation only is the natural state. Like this Bhashyakara is arguing here very strongly for sannyasa ashrama. So that is the natural state of the jnani, and all other ashramas are not actually conducive for that person. So for the one who is not a karta, there cannot be any mandates or injunctions from the Shastra. And those who are desirous of self-knowledge are those who have gained self-knowledge. So that's what we say, Vividisha Sannyasa, like that it is there. With a desire to know, you take to sannyasa. That is called Vividisha Sannyasa. Vidvat Sannyasa also is there. You have gained the knowledge, even being in Grihastha Ashrama or Brahmachari, or being in Brahmacharya itself, or even being a Vanaprasthi, then you take up sannyasa, because that is the lifestyle which is most conducive. Like even Yajnavalkya in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he goes and says, I want to take sannyasa. to his wife Maitreyi, and then there is a teaching also. Then Maitreyi says, you are giving, and then he divided all his wealth between his wives. One wife is asking, what do I do with all this wealth? Will I get immortality? Then he teaches her. So Yajnavalkya took Vidvat Sannyasa like that. It is there. Okay. So anyway, whichever way you take sannyasa, that is the most conducive for self-knowledge, because all other ashramas, they only perpetuate desires, and then from desire everything else start. Kama means karma will come, karma phala. Then from there you can have anger, hurt, guilt, everything else will come. So how does he now finally introduce the first vakya in the Upanishad? He says, Ataha केवल निष्क्रिय ब्रह्म आत्म एकत्व विद्या प्रदर्शनार्थम उत्तरः ग्रंथः आरभ्यते. So the whatever next portion of the text in the Aranyaka, the third whatever fourth, fifth, and sixth chapter, they are starting for what purpose? Therefore, they are starting for revealing this Brahman as Nishkriya, means it's not connected to any karma. Okay. And which is the Atma. Brahman is Atma only. So the oneness or identity of Brahman and Atman, where this Brahman is not connected to any karma, that alone, to give that knowledge alone, to reveal that knowledge, this Upanishad is starting like this. This is the Sambandha Bhashya. So this Upanishad itself, I told you 3 adhyayas are there, but the first adhyaya actually has 3 khandas or 3 sections. 4th and 5th have only 1 khanda. So totally 5 sections are there in this Upanishad, but it's not a very big Upanishad. It is prose Upanishad. So let us quickly see the first vakya here. Atma va idam eka eva agra asit nanyat kinchana mishat sa ikshata lokannu srija iti. So like this Upanishad is starting with this very interesting vakya, where it starts with the Srishti Prakriya. The meaning of this itself we will see later, but in general, why does the Upanishad start talking about this Srishti Prakriya? This creation. Srishti Prakriya means, how did this creation come about? So why this is being talked about is because it is using something called Karana Karya Prakriya, the cause and effect methodology of teaching. Why should the Upanishad use this cause and effect methodology? Because to show that all the variegated effects we see as this world, all the objects, all the experiences which we are having, they are all from only one cause. Okay, the cause is only one, and that cause alone is Satyam. All the effects are nothing but names and forms only. Means they do not have an existence of their own. Names and forms also have function. Names, forms, functions, everything is only dependent existence they have. They do not have independent existence. The substance is only the karana. Like even pot is only name and form. It also has a function of holding water. But still clay alone is the reality. Clay alone is the substance. There is nothing called pot. If you touch the pot, you are touching the clay. If you weigh the pot, you are weighing the clay. Clay alone is always there. If you break the pot also, clay is there. Before the pot was created also, clay is there. Clay alone is Satyam because clay alone exists. Pot is only a name and form which is borrowing the existence, we have to say. That is all mithya. So the Karana Karya Prakriya, also we call it Adhyaropa Prakriya, means deliberately the Upanishad is talking about the Srishti, superimposes the Karanatvam on Brahman, and then it will negate the Srishti as Mithya. Means once the Karya or the effect becomes Mithya, then the Karanatvam also is Mithya. Understand that? So along with that, the entire world is accounted for as Mithya. And then once all this Mithya, Anatma, whatever is not self, which is Mithya, is discounted or accounted for, whatever is there is the limitless conscious being, which is yourself in fact, which is Brahman, which is not separate from yourself. That is the teaching. So apavada, we negate everything as Mithya, and then once you negate everything, the negator can never be negated. Understand that? The negator is always there. Negator cannot be negated. That negator is your own. The Swarupa of that negator is your reality. That is the limitless conscious being. And that you have to know. So that is the teaching which is there here. So the Upanishad is starting saying that Atma alone was there. Atma va idam eka eva agre. If you break the sandhi, it becomes agre. Agre asi. So here some interesting discussion is there even in this mantra. But first Atma, the Atma Shabda, Bhashyakara, in fact he quotes a verse. In the Kathopanishad Bhashya he quotes that verse, but here also he talks about the same derivation of the word Atma. What is that verse? Yachapnoti yada datte yachati vishayaniha yachasya santato bhavaha tasmat atmeti kirtyate bhanyate. Like that, there are different readings are there. So this verse Bhashyakara quotes in the Kathopanishad Bhashya. And different people say it is either from Linga Purana or Mahabharata and all that. But that particular definition of Atma based on either the word apnoti is there, yacha apnoti. Either you can derive it from the dhatu for the verb ap, okay, apnoti, or adatte, or atti. Three different actions are there. Apnoti means what? Obtain or even pervade. Like that, there is a meaning you can give. Adatte means receive, accept, grasp. All these meanings are there. Or atti means you consume. Correct? You eat, consume, like that. Three different meanings based on that you can derive this Atma. Then one more. Yachasya santato bhavaha means that which is always there, unchanging. Its existence is can never be negated. Like this, four different types of meaning you can take. Then how these four meanings are relevant, okay, with reference to Atma. If you see that this apnoti means this Atma itself has, as an individual, it undergoes three states. And in reality, it is Brahman, we say, the limitless consciousness. Now, when it is undergoing these three states of experiences, in deep sleep, it obtains Sukham. Okay, Swam apito bhavati and all, even the Upanishad says. You resolve into your own Swarupa, which is nothing but Sukha, Ananda. So it obtains that in the deep sleep, or it pervades its own Swarupa and obtains Sukham. So apnoti means it refers to the Atma in sleep. Adatte means what? You grasp, you accept, you receive. Means the entire dream world is based on the samskaras or the impressions which you have gained in the waking state. So you accept all those impressions and then only you project it as your own dream world. So Adatte refers to Atma in dream, and Atti means what? Consume. In waking state only you are consuming all the stimuli, correct? All the Vishaya. The Indriya Vishayas are all consumed by the Indriyas and through your mind, and all the samskaras you are gaining in the waking state. Waking state is the one where Indriya Vishayas are consumed by you, Atti. So these three refer to the three states of experiences of Atma. But in reality, Atma is always there as the invariable consciousness in every cognition. Its existence can never be denied. It is always there. That is said by in the next Vakya, correct? Echasya santato bhavaha. So its bhava, its existence is always there. So this one definition itself is again like a Mahavakya, correct? It explains everything about Atma and the Nija Swarupa of Atma, and that is why it is called Atma like this. That particular verse is there. That verse also is relevant here because this Upanishad is starting with Atma, and in fact, further we'll see. I think we are almost coming to the end of the time. I don't know whether any questions are there. I don't see any questions.
Acharya, there are no questions as of now.
Yeah, so we'll continue in the evening with the actual Upanishad, and we'll close it here. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purna
Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate.
Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om.
Thank you, Jaishankar ji, for this wonderful session. Viewers, this will be a 4-part session. Now we have witnessed the first part. If you have not registered for the evening sessions, please do register. And all the sessions are interconnected, and this is a continued series. Please do register and attend the classes tomorrow in the evening.
Yeah, there is a question: is the evening a repeat or continuation? It's not a repeat. They are all. We'll continue. We have to complete the Upanishad, correct? So in the next 3 classes, hopefully I have to complete the 33 Vakyas in the Upanishad. So we'll see that.
Viewers, with this, we conclude the first session of this Weekend with Wisdom on Aitareya Upanishad with Shankara Bhashya. With this, we will conclude. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.